Hello and welcome to the Business Call to Action annual forum entitled Inclusive Business at the Nexus of Recovery, being held on the sidelines of the 76th UN General Assembly. I'm Maria Ramos. I'm a TV news anchor at TRT World. We're honoured to have you with us here today for this two-day virtual event. Over the next 2 days, we'll bring together business leaders, policymakers and development practitioners to discuss the role of inclusive business in charting the way towards a greener and more equitable world for all of us. So let's get started. Now, wherever you are right now, you know just how strongly COVID-19 has shaken the world, preying upon the weakness of the global economy and pushing millions back into poverty. Now, the long-term socio-economic impacts of COVID, while global, will be felt most by developing countries. And it's the private sector, of course, that drives economic growth. And we know that when prosperity is equally distributed across society, economies grow faster. So as we rethink how to build stronger, resilient and equitable societies in the wake of the pandemic, businesses will play a key role in economic recovery, reducing poverty and helping achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And we'll be exploring this and more over the next 2 days. So without further ado, let's get started with our opening remarks. First, we'll hear from Luciana Aguiar, head of the Business Call to Action, on the role of inclusive businesses as connectors of social and environmental resilience and recovery. Luciana.
Dear esteemed guests, welcome to the Business Call to Action Annual Forum on the sides of the 76th UN General Assembly. We are honored to welcome you all today, participants, donors, Undp representatives, partners, panelists, BCtA member companies and colleagues. Our forum this year focuses on the role of inclusive business at the nexus of recovery. Crises like COVID-19 and climate change are global and economically devastating. Both are likely to disproportionately impact the poor and deepen existing inequalities, significantly hindering progress towards the 2030 agenda. Tackling the impacts of COVID-19 and climate change will require actors who can work across systems and sectors in contexts that are both complex and uncertain. These existing crises make the question of what business practices are most impactful, inclusive, and resilient even more important. By nature, inclusive businesses operate in challenging contexts and encounter these challenges in developing markets by adapting to them. They develop new ways of distribution, rethink market mixes, and innovate in line with emerging market needs to deliver climate-smart solutions on renewable energy, access to water, agriculture, and health services, among others, to the last mile. They not only advance the Sustainable Development Goals, but are also a force of change to help societies and sectors struck by COVID-19 recover in an equitable and sustainable manner. They do so while placing positive impact on low-income stakeholders front and center, while maintaining commercial viability. As we saw these past 18 months, businesses in developing countries were especially hard hit by COVID, with revenues down 70% at the peak of the crisis. As such, successful examples of inclusive businesses are all the more important in ensuring developing countries also recover from the crisis and are not left further behind. One of our roles at BCtA is to share innovative and implementable practices that we see every day from the companies in our membership network, and that we will see throughout this annual forum. At BCtA, we view COVID as a renewed call to action for businesses to be drivers of inclusive green growth. Collaboration between organizations of different talents and strengths can help find systemic solutions needed to bring better opportunities to those at risk of being left behind in the recovery. We can embrace the current crisis as an inflection point, as a moment of reflection to shift the world towards the change it needs. We redesign our societies, governments, and business interact to embrace growth that respects the planet's limits and that is committed with fostering more inclusive, equitable, and prosperous societies. We hope that the sessions we have lined up for you over the next 2 days at the Business Call to Action Annual Forum are inspiring, instigate debate, are thought-provoking, and lead you to rethink your role in the nexus of recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Luciana. And now let's get started with our opening remarks. Our first speaker of the day is Mr. Yongshuo, Assistant Secretary General and Director of the Bureau for Policy and Programme Support at UNDP. Mr. Xu has over 25 years of experience in international development, having joined UNDP in 1994. He's worked in various field and headquarter assignments, including in New York, Iran, Timor-Leste, Pakistan and Kazakhstan. Mr. Xu has led large-scale change processes in his various assignments, built high-performance teams and achieved significant efficiency gains. Now, he puts strong emphasis on a clear strategic vision and a culture of collaboration and a mindset of continuous innovation, working with colleagues to deliver impactful development solutions. Let's hear from him now.
Thank you very much, Maria. That was an extremely generous introduction. Welcome everyone to the Business Call to Action 11th Annual Forum, Inclusive Business at the Nexus of Recovery. We're pleased to see so many of our partners and friends present here today, ready to engage, share their knowledge and experience, present innovative solutions to leave no one behind, and reinforce effective cooperation for deeper, stronger, and more equitable global prosperity. A special thank you as well to BCTA's donors, SIDA, SDC, Mimbuza, AG Fund, and BCTA's newest donor, BMZ, GIZ. Today, as the world combats a global pandemic and a climate emergency that threaten long-term sustainable development, don't forget the 1.3 billion people who are living in multidimensional poverty. In 2020 alone, over 114 million people are estimated to have fallen below the poverty line, of which nearly 58 million are women and girls. Reversing this downward trend while recovering sustainably for people and the planet is a huge, complex puzzle that requires a whole of society approach. Only inclusive, innovative, and multi-stakeholder collaboration will enable us to safeguard the tremendous development progress made to date and ensure widespread and sustainable forward motion. I invite all partners and friends gathered here today to engage in co-creation and systems transformation with the UNDP and to join us in a mission to enhance global capacity to build a more equitable and resilient world. We see the crisis of the pandemic and climate change as opportunities to reimagine development, to stimulate structural transformation that produces green, inclusive, and digital transitions. Today's event reminds us of the crucial role of the private sector in this transformation. The private sector is the key collaborator in innovating for forward progress, in preventing and mitigating social and environmental crises, and in building resilience. In addition to supporting business throughout the private sector, platforms like Business Call to Action. So in addition to these kind of platforms that we support, Undp is also building strategic alliances with the private sector to empower local actors and low-income communities and give voice to the underserved. One new engagement model is the COVID-19 private sector global facility, initiated last year with our partners at the UN Global Compact and the International Chamber of Commerce. Strategic partners from the private sector, including DHL, Microsoft, and PwC, have joined to co-create locally relevant solutions guided by the UN Global Compact's 10 principles, and as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. In Colombia, for example, global facility partners are working together to reactivate 500 SMEs through digital transformation, another important priority for UNDP. In our digital world, we need the private sector, their support in unlocking the power and value of digital tools for prosperous societies. Together with the private sector, UNDP is building and rolling out digital solutions for human development and environmental security. BCtA, for instance, together with the UNDP Colombia and the Colombian Ministry of Health, and with the support from UNDP Accelerator Labs and other partners, is assisting in the adaptation and replication of digitally enabled healthcare solutions to reach the most vulnerable, a theme we all will explore further over the next 2 days. Let us now exchange knowledge and perspectives as we come together today to envision the future of development. I call on all of us here to reflect on our place in an inclusive green recovery and to put forth our greatest strengths and resources towards this goal. Let us remember that while the future is challenging, it is not set in stone. It is for us, the global community, to shape. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Next, we will hear from Ms. True Shedvin, Head of the Unit for Global Sustainable Economic Development at the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. Now, through her 20 years of working with development cooperation, Ms. Shedvin has covered different aspects of inclusive economic development, from policy methods to implementation of programs. And in her previous role as chief economist at SIDA, Ms. Shedvin led a team of multidimensional poverty analysis, emphasizing the perspective of people living in poverty. Ms. Shedvin has hosted Nobel laureate Professor Joseph Stiglitz and 12 world-leading economists at the conference that led to the creation of the Stockholm Statement, which sets out 8 principles for inclusive and sustainable economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen now to Ms. True Shedvin.
Good morning and good afternoon. I'm happy to have this opportunity to hold a keynote speech at this very important forum. Since the global agenda was adopted 6 years ago, we have seen a wide range of actors, not least the private sector, strengthening their engagement and commitment to contribute towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Inclusive business plays a vital role in this development. One compelling reason is that it makes pure business sense, while also contributing to the overall development agenda and not least benefiting people in poverty and vulnerability. This development needs to continue and accelerate. The ongoing global pandemic has had tremendous negative impact on employment opportunities. And we know that those who are hit the hardest are the most vulnerable and the poorest. The low-skilled day workers and the small businesses with low savings and no capital. This makes inclusive business strategies even more important. The consequences of the pandemic also reminds us about the complexity of the issues and underlines that inclusive business also needs to be responsible business. Respect for human rights, decent working conditions, undertakings towards anti-corruption, and actions for environmental sustainability cannot be taken for granted. Proactivity and deliberate actions are needed. Responsible, inclusive business also means putting a specific emphasis on addressing gender structures and actively being a part of accelerating a development towards gender equality. In the last year, we have seen women being disproportionately hit, facing disruptions in income and education, losing their jobs and access to essential services, facing disproportionate unpaid work and care burdens, as well as being at higher risk of gender-based violence. A recent ILO publication that states that there will be 13 million fewer women in employment in 2021 compared to 2019, while men's employment will have recovered to 2019 levels. In addition, since 2020, more than 1/4 of women say the intensity of their domestic work has increased. This has direct impact on women's ability to work. SIDA's work is guided by Sweden's feminist foreign policy. In practice, it means that the whole Swedish Foreign Services applies a systematic gender perspective in all operations, in order to promote gender equality and to advance foreign policy objectives. For inclusive and responsible business, this means an explicit and conscious ambition to realize the gains of involving women in economy, as producers, entrepreneurs, decision makers, business leaders, and consumers. This is particularly important as we recover from the pandemic. Now we need to change long-standing inequalities while rebuilding resilience and prosperity, with a specific focus on women in the recovery process. These aspects are critical to creating lasting positive change. Business Call to Action serves as a central platform that can accelerate and create prerequisites to enable this by providing support and guidance on how that can and should be done. The annual Forum 2021 is focused on inclusive business at the nexus of recovery, emphasizing inclusive business as a central part of the solution. Governments, institutions, and investors look for ideas that will strengthen the economic and social recovery, and the interest for responsible business is on the rise. Ensuring that unequal impacts on women and girls are included in this development is of utmost importance in the work towards the global agenda for economic, social, and environmental sustainability. I am pleased to see so many businesses and actors here today committed to take action on inclusiveness and responsibility and make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Shedvin. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Justin Spellhaug, Vice President at Microsoft. As the leader for Tech for Social Impact at Microsoft, Mr. Spellhaug brings together 21 years of experience spanning commercial and social businesses. The Tech for Social Impact Group aims to accelerate digital transformation across 3 million non-profits globally so that they can have greater impact on the world's most critical social issues. Now, prior to his role, Mr. Spellhaug served as the Chief Marketing and Operations Officer for Microsoft Asia Pacific, spending over 7 years of his career working across developed and emerging Asian markets. He also helped to launch the Unlimited Potential organization within Microsoft, with a focus on developing new and more affordable computing solutions to close.
Hello, I'm Justin Spellhaug, Vice President of the Technology for Social Impact Group here at Microsoft, and it's a real pleasure to be able to speak with you today. We're living in a changed world, still confronted by historic health and economic challenges. persistent conflict and population displacements, as we're seeing in Afghanistan and Haiti today. And we're seeing the devastating effects of climate change all around the world. Accelerated by COVID-19, rapid advances in technology are drastically reshaping how people live, work, and learn. We've seen years of digital transformation in just months. And while there is great potential for technology to help address society's biggest issues, the pace of this change is also raising new challenges and intensifying existing inequities in our communities. We are witnessing a drastically widening skills and employability gap, an intensified unmet demand for access to broadband and the critical service it provides, and increased urgency to protect the planet and the fundamental rights of everyone on it. It's critical that we apply technology and innovation to address these challenges without sacrificing core values like trust, privacy, transparency, and inclusion. Focusing on these issues and the Sustainable Development Goals more broadly as a company, as Microsoft, is just the right thing to do morally and ethically. It also makes tremendous business sense. I think we all know there's a strong case for corporations and governments around the world to invest in business models that support the SDGs. They could unlock $12 trillion of economic value and generate 380 million new jobs. Simply put, companies who fail to responsibly invest in solutions and innovations that support the SDGs will cease to be relevant or competitive in the 21st century. Where and how to drive social impact at real scale with sustainable business models is the real question, and I'm not going to pretend to have all of the answers. But I will share with you our approach at Microsoft in the hope that it might spark a new idea or a discussion for you. Our approach centers on focusing on 4 core pillars: protecting fundamental rights, supporting economic opportunity, committing to a sustainable future, and earning the trust of stakeholders we work with each and every day. In the area of protecting fundamental rights, we have been deeply focused on helping organizations deliver equitable health services to battle the pandemic globally. As part of this approach, we worked with UNICEF to improve the security and infrastructure of the technology used to track and monitor the distribution of vaccines from manufacturing through to the delivery for COVAX, the worldwide COVID-19 vaccine access initiative. We joined other leading companies on the Global Task Force on Pandemic Response, a public-private partnership developed by the U.S. Chamber Foundation to provide a unified platform for businesses to mobilize and deliver resources to assist with pandemic response efforts in the areas of highest need around the world. We partnered with the WHO and Avanade to build a World Health Data Hub. As the new home of health data, the Data Hub aims to reduce fragmentation, streamline processes, and implement standards to ensure quality global health data is accessible, findable, and usable for all. Beyond the direct impact to public health, COVID-19 has had a crushing effect on economies, hitting SMEs in the developing world the hardest. At the same time, workers are being impacted by technology, which is expected to bring 97 million new jobs while displacing 85 million jobs just in the near future by 2025, just a few short years from now. It's really a perfect storm, and that's why we have such an intensive focus on supporting inclusive economic opportunity. That's why Microsoft is accelerating our long-standing commitment to close the skills gap, invest in programs and partnerships that build foundational digital skills, provide access to high-quality, inclusive computer science education, and equip people with AI skills and knowledge. As part of this effort, we have committed to help 25 million job seekers worldwide learn the skills for in-demand roles in the digital economy. We have also been working with Undp as part of the COVID-19 private sector global facility to develop a digital training platform called Digital Path. Through Digital Path, we will roll out SME skilling and capacity building services using the Microsoft Community Training Platform in developing economies around the world. Digital Path is launching this week at the UN General Assembly. And it's hard to create an opportunity without connectivity. And here we're investing in the Airband initiative to use TV whitespace and other innovative partnerships to connect 17 million people in underserved communities worldwide. Finally, we're working hard to broadly support the nonprofit community worldwide, who are so crucial to delivering critical last-mile social services. Last year, we supported 225,000 nonprofits on our cloud and provided over $2 billion in cloud grants and discounts, ensuring that our technology is affordable and accessible to all. To help nonprofits improve efficiency and impact, we launched the Microsoft Cloud for Nonprofit, which is being adopted worldwide. COVID also shined the spotlight on the inextricable link between public health, economic progress, and the fundamental health of the planet. Global warming is turning farmlands arid, driving huge population shifts, increasing transmissions of diseases between humans and animals, and exacerbating geopolitical challenges. Without caring for our planet, we cannot hope to make lasting progress on any of the SDGs. And at Microsoft, we've set some aggressive goals to make a difference in this area, including a commitment that by 2030, we'll be carbon negative by reducing our carbon emissions by half and removing the rest from the environment, including from our supply chain and our value chains. We'll be water positive for our direct operations, meaning we will replenish more water than we use. And we'll be zero waste for our direct operations and products, including eliminating single-use plastics by 2025. By 2050, we will remove from the environment all of the carbon the company has emitted directly or by electrical consumption since its founding. Additionally, we're building a new planetary computing platform to help monitor, model, and manage Earth's natural resource system. But really, to have true impact, we need to go beyond our own operations and help our customers. And that's why in July, we announced the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, which is designed to help companies measure and understand and take action and charge of their carbon emissions and set sustainable goals and take measurable action to make a difference. However, to be truly successful, all of our innovation needs to be built on a foundation of trust. For Microsoft, trust is built on privacy, security, digital safety, the responsible use of AI, and transparency. Across each of these areas, our commitment goes beyond words to action, providing tools and frameworks for our customers and partners, and working with the public sector to drive policy change to support trusted and responsible use of technology. To reimagine a future in which all people have access to the benefits and opportunities of technology and the digital economy, we must ask ourselves not just what technology can do, but really what it should do. When we do, trusted technology can help protect fundamental rights, promote inclusive economic opportunity, and support a sustainable future. We understand these times demand different thinking, accelerated efforts, and collective action. I hope this sparked an idea or two for your organization, and we look forward to partnering with all of you on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Spellhaug. And I thank all our opening speakers for helping kick off the first day of BCTA's UNGA side event. And as we begin our programming for the day, please feel free to tweet and share the event using the hashtag BCTA Forum and Biz4Good. And you may also want to use the networking features of the virtual platform by joining a networking table, grabbing a virtual coffee with a forum attendee using the match roulette button on the right side of the conference panel, or speaking with other like-minded participants by clicking on the matchmaking button for those who have tagged similar interests as you in their profiles. And now let's get the day started with our very first session on inclusive business for people and planet, where the features of inclusive business will be launched.